Number 16 is supposed to be easy. The difficulty resets when we get to these grid ends. So the first one should be fairly easy, and you probably can even just look at this and know the answer just by like sight. But I'm going to stick by my normal strategy when there's just some basic algebra. Show your work, right? Don't rush things. Let's not make a careless mistake. And there's a couple ways to solve it, but just for the sake of good habits, when we have a squared term, right, a square on a variable, that means we're probably going to want to keep everything on one side and have the other side equal to 0 so that we can factor. So in this case, it doesn't really matter, but for the sake of like future questions here, we should recognize that this is what's called dots factoring, difference of two squares. And so this is a very consistent formula. We're going to do the square root of each part. So the square root of t squared is t, and the square root of 4 is 2. So this becomes t plus 2, t minus 2 is equal to 0. That's factored. And then that means that t is going to be negative 2, and t is going to be positive 2. And it says that t is greater than 0, but you can't bubble negatives anyway, so that would have forced us to pick 2. So, you probably got this just by adding the 4 to the other side and taking the square root. That's fine for this question, but I thought it was a good opportunity to remind you of dots because the SAT loves to use dots factoring in hard questions when it's not as noticeable and there isn't any other way to solve it. So file this one away. It could come up. Anytime you see squares, you really want to factor because that's generally how to solve. And so even if you can do it another way, you might be missing something important if you do. So factor.